Thank you all for coming today. I'm Patrick Urich. I'm the Peoria City Manager, and behind me we have representatives of many of our departments. We have Scott Reese from our Public Works Department, Jim Scroggins, our Finance Director, Ross Black, our Director of Community Development, Donald Leist, our Corporation Counsel, Police Chief Jerry Mitchell. We have Sam Rivera from our Information Systems Department, David Tuttle from Emergency Communications, and Roberta Kuchelski, from the Public Library as well. And we also have Councilwoman Jensen is here in attendance with us as well. And we are here to present and unveil the Peoria Budget Challenge. And it's at the website that's here in front of you, which is peoria.budgetchallenge.org. We are excited to give you the opportunity to sit in the seat of the City Council and to be able to look at the similar types of spending decisions and resource allocation decisions that the City Council has to make when they're putting together a budget on an annual basis. This is an education and engagement tool for the public to understand the depth of the budget situation that we're currently facing here in Peoria. And it's really, Councilwoman Jensen really wanted us to engage the public, knowing that we had the depth of the budget challenge that we were facing this year and the fiscal challenge that we were facing this year, that we would go forward and look at this. So it's a very positive tool that I'm going to walk through here in just a second for you. And again, the intent behind it is to really engage the public and educate them on the issues that we face as a city. So what you have, this is the, up here online is our opening screen that we have for the budget challenge. It shows you, as you can scroll down, it shows you where our spending is currently planned for 2016 and where our revenues are currently planned for 2016. Currently, we're looking at a budget deficit of about $10.5 million. Based upon what revenues we know are going to be coming in, or what we're estimating revenues to be, and what our planned expenses are estimated for in 2016. Where that budget deficit is coming from, obviously we've seen our revenues have not been keeping pace with our expenses, particularly on the sales tax side. We had estimated when we started the year that the budget deficit was going to be about $5 million. The governor has proposed reducing the city's share of the local income tax. That would increase the budget deficit to $10.5 million. So as I mentioned to you, what we're trying to do is put you in the seat of being a city council member. So as you start, what you'll be required to do when you come in is tell us a little bit about yourself. You have to put in your zip code, so I'll go ahead and put in my zip code here, and we can get started. And what it does, the way that the program is set up, it is set up with several long-term initiatives at the very beginning. Then you move into a series of spending questions, and then you have some questions on revenues. So this will allow the public to take a look at it. We have different options set up. So the first, for example, is the street funding. And our infrastructure investment is one of the major items that we've had some discussions about with the council. We had a presentation that was done last November that talked about the fact that just to keep pace with our current level of street funding, we probably need to be investing about $7.1 million more a year. So this will allow people to look at this and make the decisions on how they want to allocate resources. So you have a section for pros and cons that gives you arguments for and against an item, and then you can make your decisions. So, for example, on maintaining the current level of street funding, it talks about the argument for being that the city needs to improve the condition of infrastructure and it should maintain the current level of street funding. The argument against it would be that the longer the city waits to address the needs of the street infrastructure system, the more expensive the repairs will become and causing more problems for us. So ultimately, you'll have that ability to work through the system. If you decide that you want to spend more on streets, you can make that decision, and now the budget deficit goes up to $14.5 million. So moving on to the next item, maybe. We have a section that talks about our combined sewer overflows. So you'll have the ability then for the public to talk about whether or not they think that we should implement a green infrastructure solution or a gray infrastructure solution with the CSO. Just for hypotheticals here, we'll say we'll implement the green infrastructure solution. And there is no revenue tied to that at this point in time. Well, there's $1.2 million tied to the stormwater management fee. We did not include anything on the CSO because any corresponding expense that we incur for the CSO is going to be coupled with a corresponding revenue increase. We're going to have to do that at some point in time in the future. We move in, we have issues with stormwater management. So if you wanted to adopt a stormwater utility fee or seek another revenue source, you can make those changes or you can maintain the current system. If we maintain the current system, our budget deficit remains at $14.5 million. We then have spending decisions for each of the areas, the general areas of our budget, beginning with police and fire, moving into public works, all of our administrative departments, community development, the library, the civic center, and then our capital projects, and then ending with some general questions about healthcare and employee compensation and pensions. And then lastly, we have our revenue items, and we can jump into that real quick to show you where we have information about property taxes, sales taxes, local motor fuel taxes, utility taxes, HRA taxes, garbage fees, and so forth. So this will, again, it gives the opportunity for the public to weigh in, to sit in the seat of the city council, to take a look at what those tough decisions are that the council has to make when they're crafting a budget, and gives them the opportunity to learn a little bit more about what we're facing as an organization right now. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any.
Patrick, can you just talk about once all this information is gathered from the actual physical public input meetings, is this information going to be used to compile and then distribute it to the council and talked about with staff and department heads? Or?
It is. We have a series of budget meetings that we're going to be kicking off this Thursday, where we'll be meeting with the public. We have the first one is going to be at the Bradley Renaissance Coliseum in the Braves Club meeting room there on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. We are then following at the Peoria Police Department is going to be that first meeting we're going to have the administrative departments, generally kind of an overview where we can talk a little bit about each one of the administrative departments and the elected officials' offices that we have. Then we're going to follow that up with a meeting on the police department where we're going to focus on Peoria Police and their budget. The third meeting that we're going to have, and that will be held at the Peoria Park District offices at the Bounty Noble Center's auditorium. On April 23rd, we will have the Peoria Fire Department meeting, and that will be at the Peoria Public Library. And we'll also talk about emergency communications there as well. On April 30th, we'll be talking about public works and the capital budget. And that meeting will be at the North Branch of the Peoria Public Library. And then lastly, we will talk about community development, economic development, and the library services, and we'll be doing that at ICC North on May 7th. So the intent behind these meetings, these public meetings, are to gather some more public input into the budget process. We'll have the tool will be open beginning today through the 10th of May, so we'll be able to take information from the public during that period of time. We're going to take all the information that we get from the public meetings, and we're going to compile that into a report that we'll share with the council. And then beginning in June and July, we're going to start to do a deeper dive into each one of the department budgets with the council, where we're going to have meetings with them, similar to our policy session formats that we have here in council chambers, where we'll talk about specific departmental budgets, get some direction from the council on what they want us to give the departments for direction for putting the budget together for 2016. And then once that's completed, then the departments will work on putting the budget together in August, and then we'll be back with the council on the budget in September during the normal fall budget process that we normally follow.
Patrick, was there a template that you guys followed to put this together? Some other city or some other organization did something similar?
We did. This is we found this tool. It's put together by a non-for-profit in California called Next 10. We licensed the software from them, so it's a tool that they have used in California to educate the public about the budget challenges that the state of California faces, and a number of cities across the country have licensed this. Los Angeles, The city of Alameda, Philadelphia has licensed this, and so we've been able to license the software from them. We'll be able to use it basically forever, as long as they've got the software and they're hosting it. So we'll be able to use it, and we'll be able to use it for different budget iterations in the future.
Are we getting any kind of feedback from any of those places about how valuable they found the information or anything like that?
You know what? We got some feedback from Next 10 about the software and about the way that they were using this. More important than the feedback from those communities, I want to hear the feedback from the public, and I want to hear the feedback that we're getting on the choices that we have to make here in Peoria, and that's the importance that we're really trying to stress with this tool.
Patrick, can you talk about how you came up with some of the parameters for the tool? For instance, in the police department, it says an option is spend 1.2 million or cut 1.2 million. Was that based on compiling estimated revenues and other, or how did you come up with specific choices for people?
Well, we came up with specific choices based upon the size of the budgets, based upon the impact that it would have, and looking at what type of realistic adjustments that we could make. We know that, for example, in the police department, we've hired some positions through grants, so we may not be able to cut any deeper because there are some positions in the police department that are protected by grants. The fire department, you can't really lay off one firefighter. You'd have to really take an engine company out of service. So you're talking about eliminating 9 firefighters. Or if you want to add an engine company, you would be talking about adding 9 firefighters because you're not just going to add one. So when you look at that, you have to look at it in those types of blocks and putting it together. For example, the administrative departments. When you look at that, when you have the offices of the city clerk, the city treasurer, the city manager's office, you have the offices of the mayor and the council, legal, IS, HR, finance. And when you add all of that together, you take all of those departments, it's only about 11% of the budget. Or not even, it's actually about 5% of the budget. It's a very small portion of the budget that we're really talking about. So I think that you have to look at it in those kind of blocks, and you have to look at it to be able to say, all right, if you're going to make a cut, or if you're going to add, what is the ramification of that? And so we made some decisions based upon just some educated guesses that we had to do. But within the tool, you'd have the ability, if you wanted to cut the budget and to eliminate it all with expenses, you could do it, or if you wanted to fill that deficit with revenues, you could do that as well. So it allows the public to work any way in between both of those choices.
Is there any part of the city budget not addressed in the tool?
Well, one of the areas that we didn't talk about in this is debt service, and that's because our debt service obligations are just that. They're debt service obligations. They're part of our capital budget. When you add our debt service and our capital together, that's about $50 million out of the $195 million of spending that we're showing here. So it's a significant portion, but we wanted to at least touch all of those major areas of the budget so that people could have the option of making some decisions, just like a city council member would. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. And thank you.